All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Jahad Mikhail Duncan back. Duncan, I know this. Hey, everybody. It's Jahad Mikhail Duncan, same individual that posted that posted that video about poet about about creativity and how it can relate to the worship of God. And I know there's a lot of people really like the video, and I'm actually kind of happy about that. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Shahad Dongan. I'm a person with Asperger's and ADHD. I'm a person that's interested in a lot of different religion, history, philosophy, literature, and for the subject of today's video, criminology. Technically, the subject is criminology mixed with politics. And this is a video about political activism. So ever since the ever since we as African Americans have been in this country for a while, we've been dealing with a lot of racism in regards to like racism with medicine, racism with economics, racism in the illegal system, especially in regards to how the police deal with us. We are constantly falsely accused of crimes we didn't commit. Now, granted, some people within within Black community they have done things, but I'm saying the majority of us have been falsely accused of things that we never committed. It's not just a Black community; it's really Black community and other people of color. And because and another thing that's been going on with the legal system is that is that the entity known as the police department has been constantly killing us and doing orders are acquitted by an all white all male jury. Now, some us as black people, we're us as black people and Latin American individuals, we're looking for bleeding hearts, and that's not the case. Most of us we're trying to get the world to understand what we're dealing with, and it's hard when when the majority of the people that run this country control the narrative. So today, I'm going to explain to you why the whole thing with the police and everything else is not just an issue regards to African Americans or Latin American individuals or people with mental disorders, such as myself. It's everybody's issue. And the subject I'm going to talk about in this case is the case of this young man from, well, technically he was a young man because he was 14 years old. The case of Konerak Sinthasomphone, died May 27, born 1976 in Laos, died May 27, 1991, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're possibly wondering what this case has to do with the police in regards to like Blue Lives Matter movement and the police and police brutality and police getting away with things. I'm going to start off by explaining. I'm going to start for the whole topic of this video. I'm going to talk about the case of Konerak Sinthasomphone. Now, those of you who are interested in criminology, you obviously have heard of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal that lured 17 young men and boys into his apartment and killed them, and not just killed them, but committed things like necrophilia, which is having sexual relations with their corpses, and eating them. He was a cannibal. And they claimed were of course, African American and Latin American individuals. But there was one particular victim, however, that was Oriental, and this was this young man by the name of Konerak Sinthasomphone. Now, I'll give you a little backstory. Konerak Sinthasomphone, like I said, was born in December 1st, 1976. His family was born in Laos, and his family were first and second generational Laotian immigrants. They um they were escaping Laos because of the issues with the Vietnam, because of issues that happened after the Vietnam War. For those of you who don't know what the Vietnam War was this war that the previous that our parents and grandparents during the time of the '60s lived through, and was a war and was a war that caused the lives of that and it was a war that caused the lives of excuse me that that caused the lives of 2 million civilians on both sides, and some 1.1 million North Vietnamese and Viet Cong fighters. It was included in the Cold War, which is a war that between America and the Soviet Union. Not going to get into that. So it was a war, and it was a war that was unjustified because the only reason that war even happened was because President Lyndon Baines Johnson at the time he he thought that the North Vietnamese had had caused the destroyer, which is a naval vessel, to be destroyed. When in actuality, evidence came out later to prove that was an engine failure. And but he didn't want, but he wanted to start war for just so that he can get the just so that he can flood this country so that they can get the drugs like the heroin from the poppy fields in Vietnam, and to get gold, silver, oil, and diamonds, which was the whole reason why the Vietnamese War even happened. This war is all about making money. So this war literally lasted from November 1st, 1955, all the way to April 30th of 1975. And was a long war. And if you think about it, the Vietnam War is almost similar to the Iraq War due to the fact we had no justification for going there, as they never attacked us. It was as they never attacked us because they didn't have it. It wasn't our business to go there, just like it wasn't our business to go to Iraq. But that's a whole other story altogether. And because of this war, a lot of people, because of the aftermath of this war, a lot of people who were political refugees who were trying to escape from the communists, after they took over Vietnam, they were trying to escape. And one of the people that escaped was Conrad and Sossaphone family. They escaped to they escaped to to have a better life in America, and they ended up coming to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, according to my research, the Sinthasomphone family, they were apparently living the American dream. Like they were apparently living the American dream. S- They were apparently living the American dream. So one and they did a few things to try to be successful in America, even though they couldn't where they lived at. So, and at the same time, you had this individual by the name of Jeffrey Dahmer, who at a time had already killed a lot of people. So when he was initially at the time living with his grandmother's house because he just got out of the military. He didn't have a job, and he did he didn't have a he originally was kicked out of the military. So his father, who was at his wit's end, told him to live with his mother. Told him to live with his mother, with his mother, which is Jeffrey Dahmer's grandmother. So he's living with his grandmother and stuff, trying to lead the straight and narrow life, only to resurface into his only to get back to killing people. And killed like he killed a few men during this time. He killed the he killed a few he killed a he killed a few men at this time, and had kept their had and this was all at his grandmother's house. And in September 19th, here it shows right here. In September 1988, Dahmer's grandmother bringing young men to her house late at night, and the foul smells, which was the bodies he was cutting up, occasionally emanating from both the basement and the garage. Dahmer found a one bedroom apartment at 808 North 24th Street and moved into his new residence on September 25th. 2 days later, this all started. He was arrested for drugging and sexually fondling a 13-year-old boy who he had lured to his home on the pretenses operandi. He would approach these young men and these boys, and say that if you need some money, I can get. If you need a job or some money, I can you can come to my apartment. I can take photographs of you posing nude or whatever. Because not a lot of those victims were homosexual. Some of them were heterosexual. Now some were lured because they thought Jeffrey Dahmer was an attractive guy, and because he was a attractive guy, they really liked him. But the thing with Jeffrey Dahmer, because of his background, he didn't want anybody to leave him, and that's how. And every time these victims went to leave, he would drug them and kill them. And this is how he lured this 30-year-old boy to his apartment. And this is very important. I want all of you to remember that. Dahmer's now what happened is that Dahmer, of course, he lured this boy to his apartment. When he lured this boy into his apartment, they he started photographing him, and he offered him a quick $50. So the boy who was also a little Asian, he was like sure. So he so he so he so they went to his apartment. They were taking photographs, whatever. So when they were taking photographs, so when he was taking photographs, Jeffrey Dahmer took it a step further and started fondling him, went down his pants, started kissing his stomach, and took off his pants, whatever. And the boy got uncomfortable, and then he was starting to get groggy because of Jeffrey Dahmer's modus operandi of putting drugs into his victims. And he was like, "I need to get going." Jeffrey was like, "Wait, don't forget to Don't forget your money. Don't tell anybody what happened." So he goes to his so he goes back to his family, and all of a sudden he falls unconscious, and his family has to take him to the hospital. The family, while the family is taking him to the hospital, they end up finding out he has been drugged. So they ask him so they get the police, and he tells the police that this blonde haired young Caucasian man had had came to his apartment, had offered him money, sexually fondling him. So what ended up happening with this in consideration, they went to Jeffrey Dahmer's employment at the time, which was the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. He was sort of Jeffrey Dahmer was working at a chocolate factory, sort of like Willy Wonka. Not to make light of the situation, but crack a joke or whatever. So they went to his place of employment, and the police went to him. They were like, "Are you Mr. Dahmer?" He was like, "Yeah." And then the police were like, "Well, we're gonna place you under arrest." And Jeffrey Dahmer tried to tell his boss that this is a mistake. Somebody's framing him. So they brought him before the judge. And the reason why they wasn't there is because is that now you gotta remember, these are first and second generational Laotian immigrants. They do not know anything about American law, so they didn't know that they had to be in court. And then, to make matters worse, when the judge sentenced Jeffrey Dahmer to sentenced Jeffrey Dahmer to prison and found him guilty, the judge lied to them and said that, oh, the young man that we put in prison, he's going to be in prison for a long time, and he's not going to be out on the street and victimize anybody. And they rolled with that because, understandably, because they didn't know anything about the American justice system. Not a fault of their own. It's just it's just that they did not know anything about the system. So when he was on trial, Dahmer's father hired an attorney named Gerald Boyle to defend his son. Boyle's request Dahmer underwent a series of psychological evaluations prior to his upcoming court hearings. And this is also another thing about the hypocrisy of the American criminal justice system, because when it's us or Latin American people, they don't want they never we never get lawyers, and they have a and there's crime in parts. Reason why there's crime in the inner cities, because most of the time it's undiagnosed mental issues, and misdiagnosed mental issues due to a fault in the American medical care system and the American educational system. But that's another video for another day. Gotta talk about this video. Gotta talk about this topic. I just wanted to point that out. So prior to his upcoming court appearance, these evaluations revealed Dahmer harbored deep feelings and alienation. A second evaluation 2 months later revealed Dahmer to be an impulsive individual, suspicious of others, and dismayed by his lack of accomplishments in life. Well, sorry, Jeff, made those choices yourself. You shouldn't really you made those choices yourself. So nobody else to blame but yourself, because you didn't have to choose this life. His probation officer would also reference a 1987 diagnosis of Dahmer suffering from a schizo personality disorder for presentation to the court. And like I said, when it comes to us, they never want to bring out our mental health issues. But when it's a we we don't trust the judicial system. So those want to talk about that blue eyes matter, whatever. You have no right to say that, because you have no idea of what us as African Americans, Latin Americans, and other racial minorities deal with on a constant day-to-day basis. So you have no right to say that. And majority of the people that you're defending are people that have killed, raped, and beat innocent people. But trust and believe, they'll never go to they'll never pick a fight with a or a bunch of drug dealers, but they rather pick a fight with innocent individuals that just trying to live their daily lives. Like really? And anybody that's listening, if this doesn't convince you of the hypocrisy that the that America's issues with the police department is not just about black people, Latin American people, I don't know what will. Just wanted to let you know that. So, on January 30th, 1989, Dahmer pleaded guilty to the charges of second-degree sexual assault and of enticing a child for amoral purposes. Sentencing for the assault was suspended until May. On March 20th, Dahmer commenced a 10-day Easter absence from work, during which he moved back to his grandmother's home. And And 2 months after his conviction and 2 months prior to his sentencing for the sexual assault, Dahmer murdered his fifth victim, a mixed race 24-year-old aspiring model named Anthony Sears, whom Dahmer met at a gay bar on March 25th, 1989. According to Dahmer, on this particular occasion, he was not looking to commit a crime. However, shortly after closing time that evening, Sears just started talking to me. Dahmer lured Sears to his grandmother's home, where the pair engaged in relations before Dahmer's drug and strangled Sears. All this is during when he's awaiting his sentence. On May 23rd, 1999, Dahmer was sentenced to 5 years probation, 1 year in the House of Correction with work release permit, in order that he would be able to keep his job. He was also required to register as a sex offender. And for those of you who don't know, if you're convicted of a sex crime, you have to register as a sex offender. Now, for this time, now, as part of his conviction, Jeffrey Dahmer was ordered to see a court-appointed psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist every month. But not once did they ever make a surprise visit to his apartment, or asked him, did or thought anything of it. And this is the hypocrisy of the American the American prison system. Excuse me. So 2 months before his scheduled release from the work camp, Donald was paroled from this regime. His 5-year probation imposed in 1989 began at this point. On release, Dahmer temporarily moved back to his grandmother's home in West Hollywood in May 1990, moving to the infamous Oxford Apartments located on North 25th Street in Milwaukee. Although located in high crime area, the apartment was close to his workplace, was furnished at $300 exclusive of all bills, his school and electricity, was economical. So he's moving to this infamous apartment, and during this time, he's killing a bunch of people. And like I said, they never put him on any surveillance or nothing. They just told him, "You're fine. Fine. You're gonna get you. You have served your sentence. Don't do it again, and that'll be it." But after this, he started killing. He started killing more people. Even during his when he was waiting his sentence, he had already killed a guy, and it's hypocrisy of the American. So, but here's the other thing I want to mention. Urge the judge not to release him, saying he had tremendous reservations regarding his son's chances when he hits the street, and he asked that a mental health and that he asked that Jeffrey Dahmer gets counseling, gets programming while he's still in prison. No program was ordered, and Jeffrey Dahmer was able to hit the streets. And he and the judge, they all told his family that Jeffrey Dahmer would never be out on the street again, and that he was going to be in prison. They never seen Jeffrey Dahmer, whatever. Like the judges in the court they never told them to appear in court or whatever, so they didn't know who Jeffrey Dahmer was. And this is why what ended up happening. So, and this is where I want to get at. On the afternoon of May 26, 1991, Dahmer encountered a 14-year-old Laotian teenager named Konerak Sinthasomphone on Wisconsin Avenue. Now, this is the part that's really going to make you guys blood boil. Unknown to Dahmer, allegedly unknown to Dahmer, but we don't know. He could have lied to the police when he was being arrested, when he was being interrogated. Unknown to Dahmer, Sinthasomphone was the younger brother of the boy who he had molested in 1988. So Jeffrey Dahmer literally victimized this family like 2 times. And this is what we mean when we say that to defund the police or that there needs to be police reform. This is what we mean. Because if you're going to allow somebody that had molested somebody back on the street and then they encountered the younger brother of this guy, then like what? Like you guys should have been prosecuted him and had him. You guys should have been had him be in prison. This is what we mean. So just want to reiterate that this whole crusade against the police departments and asking for reforms with them. It's not just a African American or Latin American issue. It's everybody's issue, and it should be everybody's issue. But let's continue. He approached the youth with an offer of money to accompany him to his event and pose for Polaroid pictures. And one day I want to point out, when I post this video, do not blame the fat and dirt. Don't blame them because for one, they're two generation Laotian immigrants. They're first and second generation Laotian immigrants. They have no idea, no knowledge of the American judicial system. Second, just be, even if they tell him, Konerak wasn't going to know who he was because he never seen him. And then third, he and then third, not it's his fault, but young people. I mean, let's just be honest here. Anybody, we all disobeyed our parents once in a while, whatever. So even if they told him, he might think that maybe this is a different person. Maybe that was a different person that did that to my older brother. Maybe this guy's okay. So don't blame the victim. I really don't like when people do that. Please do not blame the victim because this was a 14-year-old kid that had his whole life ahead of him. Like he was just any other kid. He approached the youth with an offer of money to accompany him in his apartment to pose for Polaroid pictures. According to Dahmer, Sinthasomphone was initially reluctant to the proposal, so he was kind of reluctant. Like he was like, "I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure." And then Dahmer tricked him, played with his mind by saying, "Well, why are you being so paranoid?" Because Konerak didn't like the fact that he thought Jeffrey Dahmer was following him, and where he was at during this time, he was going to the park for a football game with his friends until Jeffrey Dahmer came to him and said, "Want some money? Want some money? All you gotta do is take clothes off, whatever, be in your underwear, and I'll give you some money." So initially he didn't want to do that, but then when he wanted the money, he was like, maybe I should go with you. Before changing his mind and accompanying him to his apartment, where the youth posed for 2 pictures in his underwear before Dahmer drugged him into unconsciousness and performed performed sex acts on him. On this occasion, Dahmer drilled a single hole into a Sinthasomphone skull through which he ejected hydrochloric acid into the frontal lobe. Now, the reason why Jeffrey Dahmer is doing this because of his mental health disorders like schizotypal personality disorder and borderline personality disorder, and apparently I also heard he murders. It's not. I'm just stating what I based on my research because I'm really into criminology. I've been into criminology since I was since for long as I can remember because my older sister she introduced me to that and it's just something I really am interested in. That's something also me and my sister tend to bond over because we both are into criminology. So but just wanted to point out that just because he has Asperger's, it does not mean that all of us are murderers or sexual deviants or all that. Now, mind you, you do have some people in my community that are murderers and sexual deviants, but not or bipolar or dyslexia to do that. Yeah, that's another thing. As Americans, we need to stop with the stereotypes because everybody is their own individual, no matter what anybody says. I mean, us as African Americans, we're not all gangbangers that constantly have children, whatever, and don't take care of them. Like not all Latin American people do that, and not all Caucasian people are racist. Not all of them are racist. You have some that are fine people, and not all Arab people are terrorists. I just want to point that out because a terrorist can be anybody that's if you terrorize somebody, it can be anybody. So health issues, and also he didn't have the problem not to make not to defend him, but he was also molestation victim himself. At 7 years old, he was molested by a 14-year-old boy in the neighborhood. Like I said, not defending him. He's a very evil, awful man. I'm just saying that with all the stuff that he dealt with, and then the fact that his parents abandoned him because his mother had her mental issues and his father was a PhD chemist who was trying to support the family like any father would. Because of this, he was alone all the time, and this caused his mind to like fracture. Because like my parents always say, the mind is very fragile. So you can't. This is going to people that have children. You can't think that just because they're children or whatever that they're invincible to everything. Because no, nobody is invincible. The mind is not invincible to anything. And because if you don't, then you're gonna have people that will end up that will be like serial killers, murderers, or I mean, not everybody, but some people, because it all depends on the person. So because of the fact that everything that I explained, he had a problem loneliness. So and that's why a lot of times he killed his victims because they want to leave and they have their own right to leave. But he didn't want them to leave. He even said that I just want to keep them there. Like I said, he didn't have the social skills to do so. And then because of his schizotypal personality disorder, he was prone to fantasy prone thinking. So in his fantasy prone thinking, he comes up with the idea of another thing, according to him. Now, this is all what he said. I'm not sure if this is all true or not, because he could have lied and whatever. Like killing because killing didn't really. He just want to keep everybody with him. So he comes up with this idea. Well, I don't want to kill people, and I don't want them to leave. So why not make them into zombies? And one thing I do want to point out is that the whole creation of zombies, that is true. Like all that stuff, like get that movie Get Out, whatever. Very awesome movie, by the way. A lot of that is based off true. Like if you say like the hoodoo, and Santeria religions, even the ancient Canaanites, they were able to reanimate the dead and make them into servants. Matter of speed, points that now. I'm actually writing a writing mythology story, whatever, because that's another thing I'm interested in. And two of the characters in my story, they have that ability to like reanimate the dead, to make them into like soldiers. Not like through voodoo or hoodoo or whatever. Just they have a superpower known as necrokinesis, which allows them to control and manipulate generate death. So that's it. Just wanted to point that out. Like all that stuff is real. You can look it up, and I implore you to do look it up because that is something that is real. So he decides I'm gonna make people zombies by drilling a hole in their skull to their frontal lobe, which is the part of the brain that's in your forehead or whatever, that control things like higher consciousness, impulsive thinking, speech, and all that. Really, the things that make us human, and make us more superior to the animals in regards to our thinking, because we have different forms of thinking, from creative thinking, emotional thinking, and uh, and yes, we do have instinct, but we have multiple forms of thinking. We have multiple forms of thinking that allows us to build civilizations, like the civilizations that have existed since humanity came into existence. So, yeah, another thing, Jeffrey Dahmer, because of his knowledge of anatomy, or whatever, based on the stuff his father taught him, stuff he learned in the military, he and one thing I do want to point out, a lot of times when people that were serial killers joined the military, because there's a lot of serial killers that joined the military, and I mean different branches of the military, like the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Navy SEALs. A lot of serial killers joined that. Like 80% of them have joined the military. He was a member of B, and Jeffrey Dahmer. He served in the Royal Air. He served in the British, and he literally collapsed, and because of the in acid. Well, so he constantly part of it was is that English was starting to get a little terrible. So and during this time, there, there with me, guys. Do you distress the African American young women? I really want to get Okay, Nicole Childless and Sandra Smith. They were both cousins, and they were just uh, Aldris's boyfriend, along with uh, um, along with another man, Nicole. She she saw like a she saw something in the distance, and she told you need help, and, and according to all this, being the fact that she's a young she's a mother, she when that counteract saw put put his and according to her understood that he wasn't true, that he was breathing a sigh of relief that he had been saved. So they then decide to and report what they have found. Now I'm going to report of police and the paramedics to really for you guys to really understand what this was uh, all about. Hey, all right. Try to find the phones. This almost 25th he's very bruised up. He can't stand. He's stuck. I ain't got no court on him. I just seen him. And he needs money. The court at 25th. On May 20th. So as you guys saw, it's my child this had made whatever. Now don't let him take him away. Like go like don't let him take him away. Oh, she uh and of course this a man in his 30s was Jeffrey Dahmer, who was 30 years old. Who was 30 years old, if I can remember. And while they are and after his beer wine, he literally pulls Konerak by his arm and tells and uh, the three girls are like, wait, you do, what you doing? You know him? Is he a friend of yours, whatever?" And he was like, "Yeah." And Don was like, "Yeah, this is my friend named John. His name's John Hamon, Jim Hamon, James Hamon, Joseph Hamon." Like he goes through all these different names, whatever. And at this point, her intuition is kicking in, and she knows that Jeffrey Dahmer, that there's something off. So what ends up happening is she tries to get Konerak Sinthasomphone, and then Konerak during this time is like pushing Dahmer way whatever, and she instantly knows at this point she knows that there's something off about him because it because of the spirit and her spirituality was heightened at this point. So she detected that there was some evil radiating off of him, and that goes and that's that. Like, look, just stay here. Let the police come, because obviously I can't trust you. You look, you have some evil about you as hell. And then another thing about it, he was being disrespectful to them. The whole ain't women thing, whatever. So the police show up, and so the police show up, and three police officers they show up. Now, you don't get the names of the three police officers, so I can really really show you this one.